করোনা সংক্রমণের হাত থেকে ছাত্রছাত্রীদেরকে বাঁচানোর জন্য রাজ্য সরকার অনলাইন ক্লাস এবং লাইভ ক্লাস করার ব্যবস্থা নিয়েছেন বৈদ্যুতিক চ্যানেলের মাধ্যমে। বিগত 19শে এপ্রিল থেকে শিক্ষা দপ্তর অনলাইনে ক্লাসের ব্যবস্থা করেছেন। আমি আশা করি তাতে রাজ্যের ছাত্রছাত্রীরা লাভান্বিত হয়েছেন। আর দ্বিতীয় 6 জুন থেকে বৈদ্যুতিক চ্যানেলের মাধ্যমে লাইভ ক্লাসের ব্যবস্থা করা। আমি আশা করি এই ক্লাসগুলো সমস্ত ছাত্রছাত্রীরা অ্যাটেন্ড করবেন এবং তার সুফল রাজ্যের সমস্ত ছাত্রছাত্রীরা এবং তার পরিবারের সদস্যরাও পেতে সক্ষম। আজকের এই পরিস্থিতিতে কোনোভাবেই রাজ্য সরকার ঝুঁকি নিয়ে ক্লাস বা স্কুল খোলার ব্যাপারে সিদ্ধান্ত নিতে সক্ষম নয় যতদিন পর্যন্ত না করোনা সংক্রমণের ভ্যাকসিন না আসে বা সোশ্যাল ডিস্টেন্সিং মেনটেন করে ক্লাস চালানোর ব্যবস্থা না হয় ততদিন পর্যন্ত ক্লাসরুমে বসে ক্লাস করা সম্ভব নয়। তার জন্য শিক্ষা দপ্তর এই সিদ্ধান্তগুলো নিয়েছেন। আমি আশা করি বৈদ্যুতিক চ্যানেলের মাধ্যমে যে লাইভ ক্লাস তার লাভ সমস্ত ছাত্রছাত্রীরা পাবেন এবং নিজেকে সে মতো তৈরি করবেন।
করোনা সংক্রমণ রোধে রাজ্য সরকার বিদ্যালয়গুলিতে পঠন পাঠন বন্ধ রাখতে বাধ্য হয়েছে। এতে ছাত্রছাত্রীরা নিয়মিত শ্রেণী শিক্ষা অনুসরণ করতে অসমর্থ হচ্ছে। ফলে ছাত্রছাত্রীদের শিক্ষণ প্রক্রিয়ার সাথে সম্পৃক্ত রাখার লক্ষ্যে মাননীয় মুখ্যমন্ত্রীর অনুপ্রেরণায় ও মাননীয় শিক্ষামন্ত্রীর একান্ত আগ্রহে বিদ্যালয় শিক্ষা দপ্তর 19শে এপ্রিল থেকে বৈদ্যুতিন মাধ্যমগুলিতে এলিমেন্টারি এবং সেকেন্ডারি স্তরের ছাত্রছাত্রীদের জন্য অনলাইন ক্লাস শুরু করেছিল। পরবর্তী সময়ে ছাত্রছাত্রীদের অনলাইন ক্লাসের প্রতি আরও মনোযোগী করতে লাইভ ক্লাসও চালু করা হয়েছে, যাতে ছাত্রছাত্রীরা শিক্ষক শিক্ষিকাদের সঙ্গে সরাসরি কথা বলে তাদের কৌতূহল মিটিয়ে নিতে পারে। দপ্তর আশা করছে রাজ্যের ছাত্রছাত্রীরা এই লাইভ ক্লাস থেকে উপকৃত হবে। তাহলে ছাত্রছাত্রীরা নিশ্চয়ই তোমরা ক্লাসগুলিতে অংশগ্রহণ করবে। সকল অভিভাবক ও শিক্ষক শিক্ষিকাদের অনুরোধ করা হচ্ছে যে তারা যেন ছাত্রছাত্রীদের পূর্ব নির্ধারিত সূচি অনুযায়ী বৈদ্যুতিন মাধ্যমগুলিতে সরাসরি সম্প্রচারকৃত ক্লাসগুলি দেখে তার জন্য যথোপযুক্ত ব্যবস্থা গ্রহণ করেন। সবাই ঘরে থাকুন, সুস্থ থাকুন।
প্রিয় ছাত্রছাত্রী এবং অভিভাবকবৃন্দ, করোনার সংক্রমণের কারণে দীর্ঘদিন ধরে স্কুল বন্ধ রয়েছে, আমরা সবাই জানি। কিন্তু আমাদের ছাত্রছাত্রীরা যেন শিক্ষার সাথে যুক্ত থাকে সেজন্য শিক্ষা দপ্তর বিভিন্ন কর্মসূচি গ্রহণ করেছে। গত 19শে এপ্রিল থেকে আমরা 3 মে পর্যন্ত 15 দিন কন্টিনিউ 13টা প্রাইভেট চ্যানেলে আমরা রেকর্ডিং অনলাইন ক্লাস করিয়েছি এবং পরবর্তী সময় 6 জুন থেকে শুরু হয়েছে, 15 জুন পর্যন্ত শেষ হয়েছে। 10টা প্রাইভেট চ্যানেল তারা অনলাইন ক্লাস নেওয়া হয়েছে এবং লাইভ টেলিকাস্ট শিক্ষক শিক্ষিকারা ডাইরেক্ট টেলিকাস্ট করছে। এখন আবার 22 জুন থেকে শুরু হতে যাচ্ছে, 1 মাস ব্যাপী 22 জুলাই পর্যন্ত আবার শুরু হবে অনলাইন ক্লাস, লাইভ টেলিকাস্ট। শিক্ষক শিক্ষিকারা এতে অংশগ্রহণ করবে। আমি প্রত্যেক ছাত্রছাত্রীদের অনুরোধ করব এই সময় যেন যাতে আমাদের শিক্ষক শিক্ষিকারা যা টেলিকাস্ট করছে সেটার সাথে যেন তারা ফলো করে, এটা আমি অনুরোধ করব। আর অভিভাবকদের অনুরোধ করব আপনারাও যেন আপনাদের সন্তানদের সঠিকভাবে যাতে লাইভ টেলিকাস্ট দেখতে পারে, অনলাইন ক্লাস দেখতে পারে, তার জন্য প্রয়োজনীয় ব্যবস্থা করবেন। পাশাপাশি কবে স্কুল খুলবে আমরা কিচ্ছু বলতে পারছি না, সেজন্য শিক্ষা দপ্তর আপ্রাণ চেষ্টা করবে যে যতদিন স্কুল না খুলে ততদিন পর্যন্ত অনলাইন ক্লাসগুলি চালিয়ে যাওয়ার জন্য। আশা করি এতে ছাত্রছাত্রীরা উপকৃত হবে। সবাইকে অনুরোধ করব এই বিষয়টা লক্ষ্য রাখার জন্য। ধন্যবাদ, নমস্কার।
Good evening, students. I am Saurabh Chakraborty from Ramakrishna Mission Vidyalaya, Vivek Nagar. It has been long that we have met together. I hope you are keeping yourself fit and fine. Today we will be discussing, of course, biology, that is life process. In that we finished the topic of the nutrition. Today we will be discussing the topic of respiration. Now, before I go in the details of this respiratory process or what is respiration, let us first clear out certain terms. One is gaseous exchange. Gaseous exchange. Another is respiration. And there is another term, breathing. Now, these three terms, gaseous exchange, respiration and breathing, these are often confused. Means you might be thinking that these two, respiration and breathing, are exactly same terms, but actually it is not so. So, what is actually first gaseous exchange? Let us see. Because both the process involves in one way or other gaseous exchange. Gaseous exchange means exchange of gases by different organisms, maybe plants, maybe animals, through different methods. For example, you have studied about stomata, through which the gaseous exchange occurs in plants, especially through the stomata, these openings, carbon dioxide actually enters, oxygen goes out. So, there is exchange of gases. And why it is necessary? This is necessary for both the process of respiration and photosynthesis. So, that just the exchange of gases is called gaseous exchange, which occurs in organisms. Then this gaseous exchange can occur through various ways. So, one of the common ways, what we call breathing. Breathing, this is very popular one. So, what is breathing? Breathing means exchange of gases for certain life processes, but that exchange of gases will occur through a muscular process, through a muscular mechanism. Some muscles are involved, some pumping like action is involved, that is called breathing. So, in the strict sense, plants do not breathe in a strict sense. In a loose sense, you can say plants breathe, that means they exchange gases, but in a strict sense you cannot say plant breathe, but plant of course exchange gases. Organisms or human beings, we also exchange gases, but specifically through the process of breathing. So, what is breathing? Breathing will involve a lungs in which there will be an inspiration, expiration, there will be some muscles which will help in the process, and that process is called as breathing. Now, another term comes which is the topic today, is respiration. Is respiration breathing? Is respiration breathing? Now, the answer is that in a strict sense, no. In a light sense, we can say somewhat, sometimes we loosely equate these two terms, breathing and respiration. What is respiration exactly now? Let us understand. This respiration is actually it is a biochemical process. What is a biochemical process? Which occurs in all organisms. This biochemical process occurs in all organisms. So, respiration occurs in plants, respiration occurs in amoeba, respiration occurs in other higher organisms. Any type of life will respire. So, respiration is a fundamental property. Now, what it is actually, as I told you, it is a biochemical process. As the word says, bio means it relates to life, it occurs in living organisms. So, it is a biological process of course, and there it is also a chemical process. Since it occurs in living organism through a chemical process, you can call it a biochemical process. Now, what happens in this biochemical process? What exactly happens? So, in this process of respiration, the food which is taken by the organisms are broken down, they are broken down into simpler forms to release the energy in them in the form of ATP. Now, you may ask, sir, you have told, then what is the definition of digestion? You say that digestion is also breaking the food in simpler form. Now, there is a difference. Digestion often occurs after we ingest the food, simpler form to simplest form in the form of a liquid, and after that it is absorbed in our blood. From the blood, each and every cell absorbs this digested food. Now, this food is there, it has to further chemically break into simplest forms to release energy, and that is called as respiration. Now, that breaking down may involve use of oxygen or may not involve use of molecular oxygen. So, if oxygen is used, then we call it aerobic respiration. And so, you have here two types of respiration. One is respiration, you have two types. One is aerobic, in which oxygen is used. Oxygen is required for this reaction mechanism to occur. In anaerobic, there is no direct use of oxygen, there is no use of oxygen, oxygen is not used, that is called anaerobic process. So, you can divide this respiration into aerobic and anaerobic process. So, see what I have told. First thing is that food is broken down and energy is released. In what form? In the form of ATP. Now, the next question which automatically comes to your mind is, sir, what is ATP and what has it to do with respiration? ATP is technically called as adenosine triphosphate. Now, this adenosine triphosphate is a chemical molecule. In higher classes, you will study about the details of this molecule. It is not required in your standard to study all the details of ATP structure, but basically this ATP is said to be the currency of the cell. Currency of the cell, let me explain it in detail. Suppose you have some money it is in the form of dollar, it is in the form of pound, but this is not useful if you come in India. So, you have a dollar, then you have to convert it into Indian rupee. If you do not convert it, this money is useless. So, you have to convert every energy rich compound into ATP, so that it can be used as a source of energy. That is why ATP is called the currency of the cell. Suppose when I am doing some work, or I am talking, I am lecturing, then what is happening? Actually, that ATP is being broken down into ADP. ADP means adenosine triphosphate. It is diphosphate, it is triphosphate. So, what is happening? When ATP breaks, it breaks into ADP and inorganic phosphate. One phosphate is there. This phosphate, there are 3 phosphates. Adenosine tri means 3 phosphates. So, 3 phosphates and adenosine is there. When it breaks down, then it becomes 1 phosphate and adenosine diphosphate. Now, when it breaks, it gives you energy, and that energy gives with this energy you do the work. So, that is why all organisms require ATP to run their life, but then this is used up. Then what is the relation with food? So, food actually what it does, when food, in the food there are different bonds, chemically it is energy, which is chemical energy. When it is broken down, then from the bonds energy is released. This energy actually in the cell helps the ADP to combine with phosphate to form ATP. So, what is happening? You see, so basically what is happening? You are taking the food, suppose you have taken the food, in that food energy is there, that energy is released, that energy helps to combine ADP, which is inside your cell, adenosine diphosphate, with the free phosphate, which is also in the cell, to form ATP. So, in this process ATP is produced. So, this process actually is basically what you call as respiration. So, there are 2 parts. One part is that food is broken down, energy is released, that energy combines the phosphate with the ADP to form ATP. So, the production of ATP in the, which is a form of energy, currency of the cell, along with release of certain byproducts, is called as respiration. Now, once the ATP is formed, you again break it. We break it to run our life process. So, what ATP becomes? Again it becomes ADP and phosphate, inorganic phosphate. So, here again it is broken down. So, again when we will take food, respiration will occur, then again this phosphate will combine to form ATP. So, there is a cycle of this running in your body. So, this is how actually life process goes on. So, we will concentrate into this part, that is food plus releasing energy. When the bonds are broken, then it combines the phosphate with the ADP to form ATP, and that is the purpose how actually it, in respiration ATP is produced. Now, let us see exactly how this happens with some details, and what is the role of oxygen here. Now, as I told you, the cell is there. Suppose this is a cell, any cell, because respiration is a fundamental property. So, any cell, maybe amoeba, maybe multicellular organism, it will just respire. So, when it will respire, it will actually first process or first step of respiration. Respiration, remember, is not a single set of reaction. As I told earlier, photosynthesis is not a single step reaction. Digestion is also not a single step reaction. In the same way, respiration is also not a single step reaction. Multiple steps are there, multiple, in fact multiple set of reactions are there. So, the first set of reaction which occurs in all organisms, maybe aerobic, maybe anaerobic, maybe what any type of organism. That first set of respiratory reactions which occur is called as glycolysis, is called as glycolysis. Glycolysis means breakdown of glucose. Glycolysis means actually breakdown of glucose. Now, how does it occur? Where from you get the glucose? Remember, in digestion the simplest product of carbohydrate digestion is glucose. So, glucose it breaks down into more simpler forms, and that process is called as glycolysis. Lysis, the word lysis means breakdown, glyco here means glucose, breakdown of glucose, and glucose comes to the cell after they absorb glucose from the blood, from the that is the digested food, then the glucose breaks. So, what happens? Glucose breaks into a compound which is called pyruvate, or sometimes we call it pyruvic acid. This glucose is actually 6 carbon. It is means 6 carbon means you will study in class 11 that this many of the yes, this glucose or carbohydrates, these are actually basically rings made up of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. So, when this carbon ring, so basically when respiration occurs, this carbon ring is broken down, separated from each other. So, what happens? The glucose actually breaks down into 2 molecules of pyruvate. These 2 molecules means each will have 3 carbon. So, each pyruvate, so there are 3 carbon molecules each containing 2 molecules of pyruvate. So, ultimately from glucose you get pyruvate. Now, in this process some energy, some ATP is released. So, glycolysis is the first fundamental process of the respiration which occurs in all organisms. Then what happens? After the glycolysis is over, then is the story over? No. For some organism this is enough to run its life, but for most of the organism it is not. So, what happens? So, after glycolysis further breaking down of the pyruvate occurs. Now, there are 2 pathways through which this can occur. So, what are those pathways? So, first is your glucose, then you get pyruvate, then there are 2 ways. Now, in aerobic organisms there is one pathway, and in anaerobic organism means those who do not work with molecular oxygen, here anaerobic respiration occurs. So, what can occur? There is a process which is called as fermentation. This fermentation is actually again the incomplete breakdown of pyruvate. Pyruvate further breaks into, what happens in fermentation? It breaks into 2 things. One is ethanol and this carbon dioxide. So, this ethanol with energy, that is ATP, you can say energy. So, what was our main purpose? To get the energy. So, this ethanol is produced in fermentation. Now, again there are 2 types of fermentation. Sometimes in some fermentation process ethanol is produced, but there is another type of fermentation which also occurs, which is called lactic acid fermentation. Now, what happens in lactic acid fermentation? Instead of ethanol, lactic acid is produced. Now, let us understand these 2. First is this ethanol, water and energy, it is produced by fermentation, fine. Where it occurs? Mostly you find in yeast powder. Yeast powder you have been using in bakery, we use it, yeast powder to actually make the this bread and other things fluffy, because it releases carbon dioxide, but in the process there is ethanol being produced, or beer production or any type of alcohol production, it requires fermentation. But in the process these organisms basically they run their life by the process of fermentation. So, this is an anaerobic process of respiration, whereas this another one, this one lactic acid, this is also anaerobic process. Here what happens? Here in this case this is also an anaerobic process, but normally this will not occur, and this process lactic acid fermentation occurs in our muscles. Normally we actually respire through aerobic pathway, aerobic respiration, but here in certain cases, suppose you are doing a vigorous muscular exercise, you are doing an exercise very vigorously, in that case actually there is not enough time for the body to get that amount of oxygen for the aerobic respiration to go, but the energy must be provided. For that case you have lactic acid fermentation occurring. So, suppose you are doing a vigorous exercise, then after some time your muscle will cramp and you may feel pain in the knee or certain parts. Why? Because in this process lactic acid is produced, of course with some energy, but this lactic acid is corrosive, it gives pain to our muscles. So, if we take some rest through other biochemical pathways in the body, lactic acid is converted to some other non harmful products, so that after some rest you are fine. Okay. So, lactic acid actually fermentation is an incomplete process of breakdown, in which some energy is of course released, but complete breakdown of the glucose does not occur. Okay. Now, let us come what happens in the case of aerobic respiration. I was telling that most of the higher organisms actually use oxygen to respire, and that process of respiration has been termed as aerobic respiration. Now, how exactly this happens, let us see. For this you have to see this. Let us draw a diagram. Here a cell is there, and in the cell you know nucleus is there, different organelles are there. I am not drawing it for the sake of simplicity, but there is an organelle which you called a sandal slipper shape, which is called as mitochondria. This mitochondria you might be remembering class 9 classes, in which it is said to be actually it is a double membraned organelle, in which you have one inside membrane which has some cristae folds inside them, and there is a outer membrane. So, what happens in the case of aerobic respiration is that first step is what? Glucose. Glucose is converted to pyruvate. This pyruvate now in the case of aerobic respiration, it does not go for fermentation. This pyruvate actually is converted to an intermediate which is called acetyl CoA. You will study in higher classes, and then this acetyl CoA enters inside the mitochondria. Further it is broken down to break further. So, there are two set of reactions which occurs in the mitochondria. One set of reaction is called Krebs cycle, Krebs, Krebs cycle. Now, Krebs means not any organism. Here Krebs named after the discoverer Hans Krebs, who discovered this cycle. So, Krebs cycle is one set of reaction which happens to pyruvate. Then there is another set of reaction which is called ETC, electron transport chain. This is called electron transport chain. What happens there? There also certain products of the Krebs cycle goes in the electron transport chain, and ultimately you get a large amount of ATP with the help of carbon dioxide and water. These are the ultimate products of aerobic respiration. The whole glucose chain is being broken down into ATP, carbon dioxide and water, and full energy is released. So, these two processes occur in the mitochondria, and remember that for these two processes, especially for this running of the last process, which is called electron transport chain, it requires oxygen, molecular oxygen. Why? How? The details of this process is outside the scope of class 10 in new standard. We need to go in higher classes to understand the details, but basically what is happening in electron transport chain is that there is a flow of electron, means there are different enzyme like metalloprotein complexes through which the electrons are flowing. Now, this electron flow is actually generated by the some substrates which are produced in the Krebs cycle, certain things which are produced in the Krebs cycle, and ultimately oxygen actually accepts the electron, and ultimately ATP is produced through a process which is called as oxidative phosphorylation. It is called oxidative phosphorylation. Let us not go in these details because it is not in your standard of your standard. So, oxidative phosphorylation in the mitochondria ultimately leads to production of ATP, that is the energy. So, to sum up the whole process, you have here in the aerobic respiration, to start with, just like anaerobic, it starts with glycolysis, then pyruvate is produced, pyruvate is converted to acetyl CoA, it goes inside the mitochondria. In the mitochondria there are two reactions occurring. In the matrix, one reaction is called Krebs cycle, which is a set of few reactions, 10 to 15 reactions. Then after that the products are sent to the electron transport chain. Here ultimately oxygen, actually electron flow is generated, oxygen accepts the terminal these electrons, and ultimately in the process of oxidative phosphorylation ATP is produced. So, this is what is happening in the case of the aerobic respiration. So, you can see that the process of respiration basically means breakdown of the food items into simplest form to produce energy in the form of ATP. It has two aspects. First aspect is to release the energy in the bonds of the food items which you break, and then harvest it or to trap it in the form of ATP, and this whole process is called as the respiration. It can have two aspects, that is the aerobic process and the anaerobic process. The aerobic process in all organism, anaerobic process is the glycolysis to the pyruvate, and then going to this mitochondria, all the details. In anaerobic process there is no mitochondria as such working like that, you have just fermentation after the glycolysis, which leads to release of some energy. So, which process do you think will release more energy? Obviously, it is the aerobic respiration, because the complete skeleton of the glucose is broken down, but in the anaerobic process very little energy is released, but that is sufficient for some lower organisms. But for higher organisms, you have obviously most of the higher organisms do have the process of aerobic respiration. So, this is the part, the biochemical part of respiration which I have explained. From 4:30 onwards in your TV screens numbers will be shown, you can just call, and if you have any doubts after that and clear out your doubts. Okay. So, with that I continue my next part, that is you will see that we have explained the chemical part, biochemical part. Now, let us come to the physical part of this respiration. How? You have organisms of various types. Some exchange their gases through gills, others exchange them through their tracheal system like insects, and others are there which actually respire through their lungs, like most of our human beings we respire through our lungs. Okay. How does this vary from organism to organism? How do they work? Let us see. And a very interesting question comes now, whether the respiratory rate of the terrestrial organisms are more or the respiratory rate of the aquatic organisms are more. So, you will see that if you take animals of comparable size, that aquatic animals have higher respiratory rate than the terrestrial organisms. Why? This is because in the water oxygen is dissolved and aerobic organisms require oxygen, for example fish. Now, it requires oxygen, but these oxygen has to be taken very fast. Why? Because the per unit time, the amount of oxygen which enters inside the animal is quite less, because the dissolved oxygen per liter of water is quite less compared to dissolved oxygen per liter of air. That is why in one go or in 1 unit of time they get very less oxygen. So, they have to increase their rate of respiration, breathing rate, that is in specific way the breathing rate in the aquatic animal is quite larger, quite higher compared to an terrestrial animal, because they have to compensate that. This is one interesting aspect. Another interesting aspect which is given in your which actually goes in the organisms, especially in plants. If you compare it, often there it is believed that at the night time if you go under a tree, then some ghost will come, you have some respiratory problem because there is a ghost. Actually nothing of that sort. What is happening at night? At night the plant is not doing photosynthesis. It is not doing photosynthesis because there is no sunlight, but at that time it is both doing photosynthesis and respiration. But the carbon dioxide which is released in respiration in daytime by plants is used for photosynthesis. So, what is being produced is being used up. So, basically the plant at daytime do not release actually carbon dioxide, it releases just oxygen which is a byproduct of photosynthesis. This is one interesting thing. That is why it is you feel so refreshed, fresh going under a tree, because you are oxygenated. But at night what happens? At night there is carbon dioxide being released and there is no oxygen released. So, only carbon dioxide is released because it is not used, there is no photosynthesis. So, you feel suffocated, and that is the reason why you feel problematic to inspire, to respire. Okay. Hello? Hello? So, this is actually what happens in the case of this a plant and day and night comparison, and in two interesting facts. Now, let us come to exchange of gases, how organisms exchange their gases. As I told you, in some organism it is lungs, in other organism it is gills, some may have tracheal systems. Now, there, although they are quite different, say a gill of a fish is quite different from a lungs, but there are some basic features which all respiratory surfaces, ideal respiratory surfaces do have. What are the features of ideal respiratory surface. That means to say, may it be lungs, may it be gills, what basic things it should have to act as a good actually respiratory surface. First thing is that any respiratory surface where exchange of gases will occur, there it should be very thin, it should be thin. Any thick surface, diffusion, osmosis, nothing will occur. So, it should be extremely thin, this is the first criteria. Next is it should have a large surface area, it should have a large surface area. What is the meaning of large surface area? That means the exposed surface through which the gases come in contact should be a large one, because without this their effective exchange of gases will not occur. Suppose I give you another analogy. Suppose you want to actually dry your cloth, say your dress, you want to dry it up. When you put it in the sun or outside, do you fold it or do you open and just unfold it? You unfold it, spread it out, then give it. Why? To increase the surface area, so that air comes in contact, large surface area. So, here the same thing happens. For gaseous exchange, a large surface area is required. And the third thing is that it should be vascularized. Now, what is the meaning of this vascularized? Vascularized means a large amount of blood vessels should be there. In most of the organisms where exchange of gases occurs through blood, there the respiratory surface should have a large amount of blood vessels. May it be gills, may it be lungs, you should have this large amount of blood vessels. So, this is called extreme vascularization, which is very much required. Now, how these three criteria, these basic three criteria satisfy in different respiratory surface. For example, if you go to your human lungs where inside the human lungs they have some sac like structures, some bag like structures which are called as alveoli. These alveoli are extremely thin surfaces. So, first criteria thin, it is there. Then large surface area means there are millions of a large number of actually alveoli which actually spreads out in your lung, so that in them there is also a large number of blood vessels through which the exchange of gases occurs. The same thing, similar type of thing you will find in gills of fish. There you will see that inside the gill where the exchange of gases occurs, there is extremely thin membrane. Then large surface area is there, and there are of course a large amount of blood vessels through which exchange of gases or oxygen from the water to the gills, that means to blood vessels occur. So, this is how actually this ideal respiratory surface actually leads to effective gaseous exchange. Okay. So, now after that we will go to the details of the human lungs. So, with that we will end up this part of respiration, but first let me explain you the structure of human respiratory system or breathing system. So, what is there? First is that there is a trachea, you have external nares, that is the nose, the mouth, and there is trachea, there is a cartilaginous ring shaped tube which is called the air tube or the trachea. This trachea again actually breaks up into further, this is trachea, and there is some other part like the voice box having pharynx and other things, but then basically this trachea splits into tracheoles, then you have bronchus, then the further breakdown into bronchioles, then ultimately these bronchioles develop into some sac like structures which are called as alveoli, and this whole structure, this system is enclosed in what you called a lungs. This whole structure is called lungs. You have a rib case. If you remember, you have a rib case made up of the bones which encloses this thoracic cavity. This is called thoracic cavity here. Now, these in them there are all these things. The first thing is that how air enters? Air enters through your nose, external nares, and then when it passes through the pharynx, there is larynx, that is the voice box through which air can pass and sound, it helps in creating sound. Now, when it comes to trachea, which is the windpipe, here you will see it is made up of semicircular rings, this trachea. What is the importance of the semicircular rings? Actually, the semicircular rings actually stop the collapse of the tracheal tube once there is once you expire out, if there is no semi cartilage, it will just collapse. So, this rings actually prevents total collapse, and that is why these semicircular rings are there, these cartilaginous rings are there, which prevents the total collapse of the tracheal tube. After that, this air moves out and it reaches to what you called as the bronchus, then bronchioles, then lastly to alveoli. In the alveoli, as I told you, these are extremely thin foam like structures which are actually lined by blood vessels. There are a lot of blood vessels. Okay. So, what is happening? Air from here reaches to the alveoli, but it is lined by blood vessels, and these blood vessels have come from the heart where it contains deoxygenated blood. So, they contain a lot of carbon dioxide. So, what happens? They release the carbon dioxide to the alveoli, and in exchange they take the oxygen, because the pressure of the oxygen in the alveoli is much more than in the blood. Why? Because oxygen has come from atmosphere, you have inspired it, you have inhaled it. So, it leads to absorption of this, then ultimately this goes to the blood and supplied to the other part. So, this simple law of diffusion actually leads to exchange of the gases, once in the alveolus and another in the body capillary tissues in the other extreme. So, in this way you have actually exchange of the gases. Now, you may ask, what is the mechanism through which I do inspiration, that is inhalation and exhalation? For that, you remember that each part of your lungs, there is a dome shaped muscle, there is in the middle there is a dome shaped muscle which is called as diaphragm. This diaphragm is a dome shaped muscle, and there are other muscles in the side which are called intercostal muscles, and there are ribs. So, what is happening? Think of for understanding the mechanism of breathing, think in such a way. Suppose there is a bucket is there and there is a handle. So, this is a bucket, balti, and there is a handle. Now, what happens when you put the bucket up, then it rises up, okay, and space is created. Means if you just hold it upward, the fallen bucket, this handle will rise up and some space will be created. So, in this ribs also, it is also arranged in such a way. When you inhale, then the diaphragm goes down. When the diaphragm goes down and these ribs rise up, there is fall in the pressure inside the cavity, pleural cavity, inside the lungs. So, what is happening? Air will rush because there is fall in the pressure, and next moment in the expiration, due to elasticity of the lung, this diaphragm will again go up. First it has flattened, then it will go up. When it goes up, then again the pressure inside the lungs rises, and that leads to the expiration. So, this is what is happening in the process of this inspiration and expiration. So, with this we come up to the end of this part of respiration. To sum up the things to you, let me now totally sum up what I have actually given you this evening. First thing is that there are two types. Respiration is the process of breaking of the food along with the release of energy in the cells. Then there are two types, aerobic and anaerobic. Most of the lower organisms have anaerobic process of respiration. In anaerobic process there is no use of molecular oxygen. So, there will be glycolysis followed by fermentation. So, this happens in anaerobic process. Okay. In aerobic process it is more complicated, complete breakdown of food occurs. First glycolysis will occur in the cytoplasm, then the pyruvic acid which is produced from there will go to from via acetyl CoA, it will go to mitochondria. Here there are two sets of reactions which are occurring. One is the Krebs cycle, another is the electron transport chain. In the Krebs cycle certain compounds are produced, ultimately they donate their electrons to generate electron flow in the electron transport chain and ultimately leading to production of ATP. In that the terminal acceptor of the process is oxygen. So, the oxygen helps in the respiratory process. So, ultimately in this process ATP is produced and the whole skeleton of the glucose is broken down into simplest forms with the release of ATP. Now, after that I discussed two important interesting facts about how plants respiration in day and night in plants, then about the respiratory rate, then I explained about this human respiratory system, to be more specific human breathing system. What is there? Trachea is there, tracheoles are there, bronchus, bronchioles, alveoli, then gaseous exchange occurs. Then lastly I explained you the mechanism, that is like handle of a bucket, how it works, the process of inspiration and expiration. I hope that you have got through the process. So, the main concept is that here you need not understand every small details which you will study in higher classes, but the basic processes you should understand, the basic mechanisms, what happens in respiration and what basically and how actually human breathing process goes. With this actually I conclude my presentation. Wish you are pulling yourself well. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
করোনা সংক্রমণের হাত থেকে ছাত্রছাত্রীদেরকে বাঁচানোর জন্য রাজ্য সরকার অনলাইন ক্লাস এবং লাইভ ক্লাস করার ব্যবস্থা নিয়েছেন বৈদ্যুতিক চ্যানেলের মাধ্যমে। বিগত 19শে এপ্রিল থেকে শিক্ষা দপ্তর অনলাইনে ক্লাসের ব্যবস্থা করেছেন। আমি আশা করি তাতে রাজ্যের ছাত্রছাত্রীরা লাভান্বিত হয়েছেন। আর দ্বিতীয় 6 জুন থেকে বৈদ্যুতিক চ্যানেলের মাধ্যমে লাইভ ক্লাসের ব্যবস্থা করা। আমি আশা করি এই ক্লাসগুলো সমস্ত ছাত্রছাত্রীরা অ্যাটেন্ড করবেন এবং তার সুফল রাজ্যের সমস্ত ছাত্রছাত্রীরা এবং তার পরিবারের সদস্যরাও পেতে সক্ষম। আজকের এই পরিস্থিতিতে কোনোভাবেই রাজ্য সরকার ঝুঁকি নিয়ে ক্লাস বা স্কুল খোলার ব্যাপারে সিদ্ধান্ত নিতে সক্ষম নয় যতদিন পর্যন্ত না করোনা সংক্রমণের ভ্যাকসিন না আসে বা সোশ্যাল ডিস্টেন্সিং মেনটেন করে ক্লাস চালানোর ব্যবস্থা না হয় ততদিন পর্যন্ত ক্লাসরুমে বসে ক্লাস করা সম্ভব না। তার জন্য শিক্ষা দপ্তর এই সিদ্ধান্তগুলো নিয়েছেন। আমি আশা করি বৈদ্যুতিক চ্যানেলের মাধ্যমে যে লাইভ ক্লাস, তার লাভ সমস্ত ছাত্রছাত্রীরা পাবেন এবং নিজেকে সে মতো তৈরি করবে।
করোনা সংক্রমণ রোধে রাজ্য সরকার বিদ্যালয়